Alright, let's look at the next hand. Blinds are, well, the antes are 40 each, so 360 in the ante, blinds are 153. We have a limp from this player right here, 24, looks like a sort of a fishy. We look at ace king suited. You would notice it's a pretty small raise relative to the limp and the pot size, and the reason I raise small is because there's three people behind me are playing relatively taggish, very taggish. So if they do flat, I don't want to overplay my hand, and if they decide to 3-bet, even though I don't think I'm folding, I still don't wanna raise too much and commit against players who are only playing good hands. And I definitely want him to call because he's a fish. I don't mind picking him up because he's a fish. Well, I don't know if he's a fish. He's playing 43, 43. Anyway, so this guy calls. Flop is ace high, and at this point I'm thinking about c-betting a little more than half the pot so I can shove the turn. Instead he donks into me. This could mean a lot of things. That's why donk is such a great play. It could mean sets, flush draws, aces, pocket tens. But from his bet sizing, I put him on either a tens kind of hand or a flush draw. I don't put him on a set, but he could have two pairs here also. But two pairs look like should take a check raise line. So I just decided to call and see what he does on the turn. Turns the jack of hearts, a very good safe card for me. I don't think he has pocket jacks, but then again, I did say he has 10, so he could have jacks. But with jacks, I think he raises pre-flop. You might say he also raises with 10s pre-flop, but I've seen players at these games, even with their stack sizes, just to limit 10s from late position, which is a pretty bad play, I think. Now he donks him again. This is, I guess, an ideal spot to raise or shove, but I decided not to. I felt like at this point he has exactly a flush draw. That's the only hand that makes sense. He could have weak aces, but I don't put him on weak aces. I just thought either he has pocket tens or a flush draw, and I don't think he has the king jack of clubs. He doesn't have the queen ten of clubs because I think he bets more because it's a very strong hand. But then again, he's a fish, so you really don't know what kind of line these fishes are going to take. So you just kind of have to play ABC against them. And I really thought that I'm just going to flat here, and if he checks me on the river, I guess I can value bet. But there's definitely a good argument for shoving here, and I think I should have shoved. But we'll see what happens on the river. River is the king of clubs, kind of a good and a bad card for me, obviously. If he was just barreling random cards like, queen 10 of diamonds, and he got there, but I'm not gonna put him on exactly that hand, nor am I gonna give him a flush. But again, he could have a flush here, but I made two pair. I can see him value betting two pair here because I could have ace king here the way I played. So when he bets, and I don't think he bets a set here. I mean, he could, but he bets very small. Now, if you really think about this hand in details, and I'm not going to go in details, which I should, but the reason I'm not going in details is because I want to make sure this video is 15 minutes so I can post it on YouTube. But if you really think about this, his line for a flush doesn't make sense because he shoves with a flush. His line for a set maybe makes sense, and if he has two pair, we have him beat. So we have most of his range beat except a flush. So I think since I didn't shove the turn, I think I should have shoved the river for value, but I decided to call. He turns over ace queen, and I guess I should have shoved the turn. Obviously get all his money on the flop, so we did miss out on 3480 on this hand. See, he should have raised pre-flop. I would have re-raised, and then that's how he should have played. I mean, he would have probably lost more money playing it that way, but we, I guess, did a couple of mistakes in that hand. Okay, so let's look at the next hand. Next hand, you can see I'm playing most of my hands from late position, and that's not necessarily because I have a good hand. Now this hand is not from late position. We have kings. Standard raise, and he flats the big blind. Flop comes a pretty safe flop for big blind flat. I don't expect him to flat here deuce 3, deuce 6, deuce 4, deuce 5. He could have 5s, 4s, or 6, 5 kind of hand. But I mean, at this point, I'm just assuming I'm gonna c-bet and take it down. I c-bet pretty small. I don't like that small c-bet, um, because if he would have limped, and then I think the bet is fine maybe here, because, or maybe then I should bet more, because if he has sevens or fives, I know he's gonna call me. But the small bet here is pretty much, I guess the reason I bet at that point is, I wanted to make sure I get a call from hands like Queen 10, Jack Queen. I mean, if he's that bad of a player, that he's gonna call there because he's getting 3.21 to 1. But I really thought, I mean, if he raises here, there's no way I'm folding, even though we're super deep, relatively speaking. He decides just to flat, which is fine with me. Queen of Hearts. I think original play was when I checked, but I think this is a good spot for me to fire. I don't have to give him credit for a flush. As I said, he could have called with Queen Jack, King Queen kind of hand on the flop, but if he puts me on Ace King kind of hand, he thinks he can steal later. He could have a 6x kind of hand, and I could bet and get some value. I decide to check for pot control, just in case another heart donks off. But again, if he has a heart in his hand, like Ace 5 of hand, Ace 5 with the Ace of Hearts, then I want to make sure he pays for the river. But I decide to check, and I don't like my play anymore for checking. Um, River is a 10 of diamond. Now he bets huge, and I snap call, which is a bad call, because the reason it's a bad call, not because I called, but because I snap called. Okay, and I didn't put much time into, and we do that all the time. You snap call, and then you're like, wait, I didn't even think about the hand, and he could have Queen 10, he could have set. I mean, at this point, I absolutely did not think about what he could have, and he turns over the obvious flush. I guess if I bet the turn, he raises, and then I might flat or fold. So, but I think this was another hand that I played poorly, where my check on the turn, might be considered good or fine, but my call on the river, I think, is horrible. I don't see any hand he would bluff with here except 5-7 of spades or offsuit, whatever. But definitely a bad play there. I think that. Open to suggestions. All right, next hand. Oops. What do we have? Okay, here we are. We're short stack after playing that bad hand. I don't know if it's the same orbit or not, but blinds now it's the next orbit. Blinds are pretty high. We have a 31-28 shoves all in for 38.50. Then we have this guy who flats. We've done it. He's suited. He could be shoving with anything. At worst, I think I'm a coin flip against him. Here's a mistake that a lot of people make, and maybe I'll make a quick note on this one, that if you play higher limit tournaments, people here are going to be flatting with aces or kings a lot, because in games, what it used to be that people would flat here with hands like 6-6-7s or ace jack, and then somebody behind them would be like, you're flatting with the marginal hand, so they're gonna reshove and try to ISO him or put a squeeze on. Let's say if he didn't go all and he just raised, and he has a lot of chips, and people still do squeeze plays, obviously. So he just raises, he flats, and you look down at a garbage hand, you're like, I'm gonna squeeze him. So people a lot of times will flat with aces just for somebody to give an opportunity for somebody to squeeze behind them. But in a $3 rebuy tournament, I don't expect anybody to do that, and if they do, then good for them. And I'm not sure if the rebuy period is over at this point, but I feel like even if I'm a coin flip against a BDS, I'm probably ahead against this guy, so I might lose the main pot, but if I win the side pot, I'll be back to the stack I have right now, which is 67.35. Plus I'm short stack, so whatever. I thought it's a good spot to shove against an aggro player who's playing a lot of hands, and I'm not sure how he looks like somewhere between a fish and a tag kind of hand, I guess. Yeah, he looks like a fish and a tag, which is kind of, he's a tag fish. There is such a thing as a tag fish, by the way, in poker nowadays. And I don't expect him to fold. He calls. He turns over king jack. Horrible play by him. See, here's the thing. If Adoramin thought that Abidas is shoving any two cards, including jack axes and king axes, then he should have reshoved here. If that's what he was thinking. I don't think he was thinking that, because if he was, then he would have shoved here. And if he's just calling because he has two good cards, that's a bad call, because first of all, it's an under the gun shove, even though it's an aggro player, but there's so many players behind him. So I was glad that I'm a coin flip against him. Sorry about this. I guess I'm in a tournament, and yeah, yeah, I'm happy I'm a coin flip against him, but I'm ahead of it. So it's a good flop for me. I have ace queen deuce live. I just hope he doesn't hit his card. Turn to 10, river, we blink queen, so we scoop. By the way, the side pot is not shown here by Poker Tracker, but we scoop the whole pot up to 18k. Let's move on to the next hand. Okay, we're in the big, yeah, we're in the big blind, and we look down at deuce 3 suited, and I'll tell you why I put this hand in. It's not because I won a pot, it's because I lost a pot, but that's not why either. So bunch of limbs, no need to raise. Now, flop comes queen 4 deuce. This is an example of what's called a dry board. At this point, um, this is a good time for me to bet because I'm in the big blind. I could have queen deuce, deuce 3, 4x, queen x, deuce x, two pairs. Plus it's dry board. So the reason let me just get to the part where I let out. The reason I let out here is because if any of these two guys or three guys limped with fives through maybe even jacks, I'm not sure, I think I can not make them fall on the flop, but I can make them fall on the turn of the river. So I bet small, so I have enough chips to bluff them off. Plus I can barrel a lot of ace of hearts, five of hearts kind of hand. So I think this is probably the best spot to lead out. And you know, people would flat here with 4-5 behind me, and I could get in trouble because a lot of my cards that I barrel are gonna hit them two pair. So I was pretty sure I was gonna take this down because of the texture of the board, but this guy calls me, and I was really hoping to pick up this guy, or maybe I wasn't. Actually, I was just trying to take it down. Now this kind of scares me because he's a very tight. Well, out of 22 hands, he's a very tight player. He's only played one hand and he's limbed into it, and now he's flatting. So at this point, I'm absolutely beat. He could have pocket 5, 6 kind of hand, but I think against a player like him, I'm gonna shut down, and that's exactly what I do. He bets pretty small. You might say I'm getting 5 to 1 to call, but pretty much the point of this hand was to show spots where you can lead out and take hands down. But once this guy comes in, I'm done. I mean, if these two would have come in instead of this guy, then I would have played it differently. Alright, one last hand for this video. Yeah, this is the ace 10. We have the ace 10 in the small blind against the fish limbs. And it falls around to us. And there's a definite argument for just limping because we're out of position and our hand is not that great. But this player is playing 18-18. What does that tell you is that every time he's in a hand, he comes in for a raise. That means he is a definite tag lag, and he will absolutely does not want to play out of position. Okay, he will. For certain he's not calling a hand, even if he might have ace jack. I swear to you, he's not gonna call king jack there either, I think. So I decided to raise small. The reason I raise small is just in case he does pick up a hand better than me. Then I don't want to put in too many chips, and he flats, which is fine. I expect him to flat, so I want to get value out of the fish, and I don't want to put too many chips out of position. He calls. Flop is ace high. I don't think there's much reason to check here because there's a lot of ace X's, 9X's in his range. Plus he might look me up with king queen. So we just do a standard C bet and he folds, and we pick up that pot. So that was pretty much to show what to do when there's a tag behind you, and even though you're out of position with the weak hand, you should raise to make the fish pay. Alright, next part.